What's going on YouTube? JT's Reborn here, and welcome back to another edition of After the Movie. I recently just got done watching Deathstroke Knights Dragons, the all-new animated DC movie. I think this was originally like an episodic short thing, and then they kind of edited it together and kind of created a movie. But here it is, Deathstroke Knights Dragons, the movie. The first, I guess, solo Deathstroke movie that we've ever gotten. And, initial impressions, I quite like this thing. I quite like this thing a lot. The animation is really nice. It does a great job showcasing Slade Wilson and that dynamic that he has with his family. You have pretty much all the Wilsons here. The only one that you don't really have is Grant Wilson, so I don't know where he is in this whole thing, but you get a little bit of insight into his background. You get a little insight into H.I.V.E, and you just get a really badass R-rated hardcore violent movie. Deathstroke's not the only one involved in here. We also have Bronze Tiger. Lady H.I.V.E shows up. You have H.I.V.E, who is the villain this time around. And I quite enjoyed this film a bit. It's a little bit slower paced at times. It really kind of sucks you in with its atmosphere. It's very violent. It's definitely deserving of its R rating. I mean, you get a lot of Deathstroke's ass in this, so if that's something you really wanted to see, well, you get it quite a lot in this movie, bare ass and all. I've noticed this with the past couple of DC movies. Superman and Tomorrow, you see Superman like that, and now you see Deathstroke like this, so that lets you know where the attention's at. But we're just kidding, it's not that much, all things considered. But yeah, so Deathstroke, the title Knights and Dragons, has something to do with a story that Slade Wilson tells his son, Jericho. It's a story that he reads to him about like a knight and these dragons. Deathstroke considers himself a knight. Well, at this point, as the movie kind of begins, you get Slade, who's out on a mission. He's calling home to his wife and son, Joseph. I don't know if Grant's existing this or if he would have died at this point. It's never really fully classified. His wife, Adeline Kane, and they don't know that he is Deathstroke, the mercenary at this point, hired for killing. He definitely has his own moral compass. He's definitely a really flawed and interesting character, and that's what I always enjoyed about Deathstroke. I don't like him as just this one-note villain. I like him kind of having like this own internal conflict that he has, and his motivations are kind of like vague at times, and he's got a lot of demons going on with him, but there also is sometimes this moral compass that comes into play. He's also got his family dynamic. He's just an all-around fascinating character, and I think this movie does a really great job showcasing him and his family relationship. Like, Adeline Kane thinks that he's done. She thinks that he's just a businessman, but in secret he's going out and he's killing people for hire. And then what happens is their son Jericho gets kidnapped, and Adeline comes to find out that Slade has been doing all this dirty work behind her back, so she tells him she's done with him, basically, but she also says that you have to go get her son back. And then he goes to try and save the son, and then the son, as you know, in the comics, get his throat slit, and he can no longer talk, but he still has his telepathic communications. And so Deathstroke's just kind of pretty much taken out of his life for a while, and then you come to find out that the H.I.V.E is back, and there's somebody else involved with this thing. So who's after Deathstroke? Who's been manipulated by H.I.V.E? It turns out to be Rose Wilson, and I guess spoilers at this point. And we find out that he had an affair with another lady who ended up birthing Rose, who also possesses some of his healing capabilities. Then you have Adeline Kane, who's trying to save their son, and you get this crazy family dynamic. You get all this crazy bloody action, and you get a story that's, you don't really showcase too much of the DC universe. Like, you don't see Batman showing up in this thing randomly. You don't get Superman. You just get a story solely focused on Slade Wilson and his family and that crazy dynamic that they all have. And I think for the most part they successfully executed this movie quite well. Again, like I said, if you're a big Deathstroke fan, I can't see why you wouldn't like this. I think Slade Wilson's been handled quite well in live action and in animation for the most part. Of course, there are some exceptions. Son of Batman Deathstroke was not very good. Although they did redeem him a bit in the Judas contract, making him this hardcore badass. And of course, he's got his healing abilities, and he's pretty much like unstoppable for the most part. He's not immortal, but he's damn near close to being unstoppable with the serum and stuff. And there's also this nice little special feature on here that showcases Deathstroke, one-man death machine featurette, and you get some interviews from Marv Wolfman, who created Deathstroke, along with George Perez. Manu Bennett's in there talking about him. You got all these different people talking about Deathstroke and all the amazing stuff that he's done and what he's capable of as a character. Showcase him as the good guy, bad guy, how some people don't really see him as either or. I always consider Deathstroke as kind of like villainous anti-hero, because he has his own, like, he does things for hire, but he also like does things because that he morally feels like he should do. I never really liked him as kind of this one-note villain. I always liked him as this really complicated character, and I think this film does a good job showcasing that. He's not just this one-note villain. He has this interesting backstory. He's got a lot of flaws. He's a really messed up person to begin with, too, because he's a former soldier trained by Adeline Kane, and he just has all this different stuff going on in his life. And it really is a fascinating character to follow along with. You don't necessarily have to root for him or even really like him, but he is fascinating. So I quite enjoyed this movie. Again, I didn't really see it at the stores. I'd order this online, but if you get the chance to, I definitely recommend checking out Deathstroke Knights and Dragons. I guess I kept spoilers kind of vague, but you kind of know Rose Wilson's in this thing as somebody, but you also find there's other people manipulating her into conflict too, and you just kind of see a bit of the Slade Wilson family and all these other different characters show up throughout, and you get some interesting motivations and nice twists and turns in this thing too. So again, that's my brief little thoughts on Deathstroke Knights and Dragons. Again, this is just a quick after the movie thing. Trying to think what else I can really say. Like I said, I like the action. There are some genuinely funny moments too. Like, they kind of reminded me a bit of the animated movie Mystery of the Batwoman. There's a part where Slade Wilson goes into this fortress and he's killing all these people, and all these soldiers just show up, and he just has a sword out like this, and then they just drop their stuff and then they run away. Like, that's just kind of like I ain't going near that guy. Just stuff like that that's pretty funny. And again, like, some of the R-rated violence I quite enjoyed a lot. So, but if you get the chance to, definitely check out Deathstroke Knights and Dragons. I think it's a very solid animated DC movie. Definitely one of my favorites the last couple years, I should say. I think this one's quite good. So if you've seen Deathstroke Knights and Dragons, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Hit that bell for notifications. Be sure to subscribe for more content. I hope everybody has a happy Labor Day weekend. And if you get the chance to, check this thing out. I got more content coming up. It's been kind of slow this week, but things are going to start to change a little bit next week. I got some big stuff coming out next week. So, yep, those are my thoughts. Go check it out. Deathstroke Knights and Dragons. Pretty darn sweet. Look at Slade Wilson. Look at him. He's just a badass. Yeah. Deathstroke's awesome. All right, that's all I got to say. Take care now. Bye-bye then, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.